all week long at 11 o'clock for the rest of this week, leading into, the big build-up to the Super Bowl next week.
Yep.
We're going to line up one aspect of the Patriots and Chiefs, one dynasty versus the other.
All right.
We'll eventually get to the full dynasty, of course. We'll get deeper into Brady and Mahomes, maybe even Kelsey and Gronk. We're going to start today with Belichick and Andy Reid. And if you want, Keefe, I can line up some of the resumes here.
You can line up resumes.
We really get into it. I think if you are looking purely at accolades, it's Bill, and it's really not that close. Bill is 6 Super Bowls, wins. I'm not counting his time as a coordinator. 9 Super Bowl appearances, 3-time Coach of the Year, AP Coach of the Year.
Yeah, and that's also one where he certainly could have won it more, but you're like,
no, for sure.
Give it to like a scrub team and whatever.
Bill should have won it more than 3 times.
Yeah. But that's sort of the nature of that award.
Andy Reid's only won Coach of the Year once, AP Coach of the Year. He is a 3-time Super Bowl winner, although could be 4 in 2 weeks.
Sitting on 3.
He's in his
half as many.
He's in his 6th Super Bowl. So it's his 6th Super Bowl appearance as a head coach.
So 6 to 9.
Correct.
Nice.
Real nice.
Nice.
So right there, just purely on accolades, and you tell me if you think I'm missing anything so far.
No, those are the
purely
big
on
ones.
accolades. It's advantage Bill, and I think anybody rationally looking at it can say, look, Reid could get there, but he's not there yet on accolades. Right? Yeah. Is that fair to say?
Bill has the record for Super Bowl wins as a head coach, appearances as a head coach. He has the record for most playoff wins as a head coach. He also has the most playoff appearances as a head coach. I guess he's tied, and he has the most divisional championships as a head coach. Those are all records that Bill owns.
So on those accolades, certainly advantage Bill.
Yep.
Where you get into the weeds, to me, is when you start getting into the record, which, number one, Bill is 333-178 as a head coach, counting the postseason, in 29 years as a head coach. That's a .652 winning percentage. Andy Reid, neck and neck with him. He's at 301, could be 302. 162-1. That's a .649 winning percentage in 26 years. But the win total, like Bill isn't going to catch Don Shula at this point. Andy Reid could. Andy Reid could pass Bill Belichick in fewer seasons in wins in, I don't know, the next 2 years. I heard Hart talking about this last week. And then you get into what they accomplished without their star quarterback.
Yeah, this is where the conversation, I think, begins. Because those other numbers are pretty slam dunk right now for Belichick.
I agree. Even the wins, if you just look on win percentage and total wins right now, that's still Bill. Here's where you get in the weeds. Bill is 83-104 lifetime without Tom Brady. That's a .444 win percentage.
83-104.
Yeah.
So just real quick, that would be Matt Castle, Jimmy Garoppolo, Mac Jones, Cam Newton, all the guys in Cleveland, Drew Bledsoe.
A couple of Jacoby Brissett games.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He's 83-104 with 2 playoff appearances. He's 1-2.
And this is the stat I feel guys like Rex Ryan and others really want to point out. Like coaches that are super jealous of Bill will point out the fact that, if you have a record like that, you're not lasting very long in the NFL. You don't even get that kind of record in the NFL.
And so, look, he won a lot with Brady, and they were great with Brady. He made the playoffs twice in his life without Brady. Andy Reid has been phenomenal, obviously, with Patrick Mahomes. He's been much better with Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. He couldn't win without Patrick Mahomes a Super Bowl, but he got to one. He's 182-121, .601 win percentage without Mahomes, 11-13 in the playoffs. I mean, that's sub 500, but he got to the playoffs pretty much every year with
11-13
without Mahomes.
So 24 playoff games without Mahomes.
Correct. I mean, they made an NFC title game 4 or 5 years in a row.
And that's mostly Donovan McNabb, Alex Smith. He had a Michael Vick year, didn't
Correct.
he? Yeah, okay.
So, I mean, if you're going to make the case for Andy Reid, it's that, well, yeah, he's closing in on Bill for all of these career accolades, the Super Bowls, the appearances, the total wins, and he accomplished so much more before he ever got Mahomes. He couldn't win, but at least he could make the playoffs and make a Super Bowl and make championship games. Bill couldn't even make the playoffs without Brady.
No, Andy Reid's a really good coach without a Hall of Fame quarterback. Bill Belichick, you can't make that case for. Now, I give him a lot of credit for the 20-year run or 18-year run, I guess, whatever it was with Brady. I think sometimes people kind of skip past that, and they're like, well, anybody could have done it. It's like, well, he did it, though, for all that time, so you're not going to remove those accolades away from it. But that's where I think the conversation is pretty interesting, because who's better, Donovan McNabb or Drew Bledsoe? I think Bledsoe is, but maybe you can make the case for McNabb. But whatever it is, it's close.
I think it's very, very close. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. And so you make it 4 straight NFC Championship games and a Super Bowl with Donovan McNabb versus 5-11 with 5-13 with Drew.
Bill won 5 games in a year plus with Drew Bledsoe.
So I mean, he got a lot out of McNabb. Alex Smith, he had his ups and downs throughout his career, but he certainly played his best with Andy Reid. So that's why I think this is one of those conversations where Andy Reid doesn't need to match the Super Bowl titles. I don't think it needs to be 6 or even 7, like for him to be better. But if it's 5, I think his 5 looks better.
Okay, so you just answered my question.
I think it's 5.
Right now, today. We did the same thing with the Celtics earlier today. We'll do the same thing with Bill and Reid. Right now, today. Bill Belichick or Andy Reid?
Today, Bill Belichick. Next Monday, maybe, I know I just said 5, but maybe after 4, you could maybe convince me it's Reid.
I agree. This is a big one. If Andy Reid wins this one, and the Chiefs are favored too, I think they're going to. We'll see what happens. He might only need 4 and then a couple more good regular seasons to get there, to me.
Yeah, because I don't think you can overlook the fact
he needs the 4th though. He can't sit there on 3.
No, 3 is not going to get you in the conversation. You're half as many. That's not going to cut it. But 4, and let's be honest, 4 and counting, unless he retires and it's done, because we don't think Bill's going to coach in the NFL again. So those records kind of are what they are, and Andy Reid has a chance to even pass. Who knows? Maybe even pass the wins record at some point. Like he's not that far away, especially if he's ripping 15, 17 wins a season.
Yeah, and I'll add this too. Something that I think threatens Patriots fans, because Patriots fans are, if we can all get in the trust tree, threatened by the Chiefs, their budding dynasty. It is a dynasty.
Well, yeah.
But, a budding run at the 20 years of excellence for the Pats. Something that threatens Patriots fans, I think, you tell me if I'm wrong, is the Reid-Mahomes relationship. Like, Brady and Belichick always had conflict and tension, always, even in the good times. And by the end, it broke the thing up. You look at Reid and Mahomes and you're like, that could last a long, long time. Health willing for Andy Reid.
Well, God willing.
I don't think Andy Reid is going to go out there and stump for credit like Bill and need the credit. And ego is a massive thing, and maybe it'll get in the way with the Chiefs as well. But that's one where I don't really see the egos getting in the way of Reid wanting more credit than Mahomes. It did with Bill and Brady.
No, it seems like it's going to have to be more, does their defense keep up that? Does Travis Kelce squeeze out another season or two? Or like at some point, Mahomes, like Brady did, is going to have to do it with a whole new cast of characters. So are you able to go from they already won it without Tyreek Hill.
I was going to say from Tyreek Hill to Juju. Yep. Yeah. You can do that.
Juju No, I know, but like you've always had this safety blanket of Travis Kelce. You even got Kareem Hunt back, after all that happened. But like Tom Brady. I mean, do you go from Troy Brown and Deion Branch to Edelman and Gronk? Like, are you able to do that, or does the front office swing and miss? And let's face it, they kind of have at times. Like Sky Moore, swing and miss. Although Xavier Worthy looks like maybe he's good. So we'll see where it goes from there. But no, I think the other thing that stands out is we all remember Andy Reid not being able to get the job done against the Patriots in that Super Bowl, and Donovan McNabb throwing up in the huddle, and Andy Reid being like a joke for a while. Like Andy Reid being like, oh my God, you get a close game late, he's going to, have his hands around his own throat. But he's gotten better. So that's the guy. I've always brought this up too with Kyle Shanahan. Like Kyle Shanahan needs to aspire to be Andy Reid, because right now he is kind of a late game choke artist. He is you got a great offense, but what are you going to do at the end? That was Andy Reid. And I think for a lot of Patriots fans, we remember that so vividly that it took a lot for him to sort of shake that label.
And I do think, I don't think Bill was great situationally without Brady. The second he had Cam Newton and Mac Jones, he stunk situationally. And I think
he never even played big games.
Well, but this is what I was going to say. There's some of that with Reid, too. Like, you get Mahomes, obviously you look a lot smarter and better in the situation because you have the quarterback. But Reid at least got to the point where he was in big games and he choked, and we're like, that guy's a choker. Bill couldn't even get there without Brady.
Mm-hmm.
Reid could get there with McNabb. He could get there with Alex Smith. He could get to the playoffs with Michael Vick.
Yeah.
Bill couldn't even get to that point where we'd consider him a choker in big games because he won 44% of the games in his life without Tom Brady, whereas Reid made the playoffs 13 times before he ever got Patrick Mahomes on his roster. So you can jump in on this. We agree. Today it's Bill Belichick. Talk to us on Monday.
Yeah.
It might be Reid. And a year from now, they're sitting on 2 more Super Bowls. That's definitely Reid.
Because right now, I think it's the easy way to look at it is Belichick with Brady right now is better than Reid with Mahomes. Right? That's still to be determined. But right now, that version of their career, that part of their careers, advantage Belichick. But Belichick without Brady versus Reid without Mahomes, it's really not close.
No.
Like, it is pretty overwhelming. So, like, how much of that can then close the gap on this Mahomes era run?
So you guys, can jump in on this. 617-779-7937. I heard Chris Curtis talk about this last week. It's a much closer debate right now than Brady Mahomes. Mahomes is trending ahead of Brady's career pace. But this one is a real debate. By Monday, it'll be a real debate.
Yeah. Well, Brady,
Belichick or Reid.
But Brady winning with a different coach also makes it. And
it's massive.
It's massive. And a Super Bowl win head-to-head over Mahomes is massive.
And
I know Belichick beat Reid, but you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a little bit, it sort of separates Brady to another degree.
And it also undercuts Bill.
Yes.
Brady won without Bill. I mean, so far, Mahomes hasn't won without Reid
Good
either.
point. And so if he does, you're right, a little bit of a shot, a little bit of a knock.
It'll undercut Reid a little bit. If Spagnuolo takes over and they win a Super Bowl with him, it'll look different. 617-779-7937. Bunch of you waiting patiently. You can jump in on this. Still lingering on the Celtics as well. Randy is in Providence. Go ahead, Randy.
Hi. Two things, I guess, real quick on the Mahomes versus Brady thing. Mahomes has had still like Kelsey and, Chris Jones on defense, a couple pieces. Brady did it with so many different pieces that it's just inarguable.
Brady had Tyler
right
and Richard Seymour. They're both in the Hall of Fame.
He had Hall of Famers.
Early in his career, yeah.
Right, but I mean, he had different pieces. Like
he
throughout
played for
the
20
career.
years.
Mahomes
He had
just
to.
hasn't been there long enough. Yeah,
right.
But so what I had called in about, Doug Marrone got hired yesterday in a role that we think is the offensive line coach, probably. And, I understand he's got a lot of experience with offensive line, but with 30 years of experience comes 30 years of results. And I was going through them. I can't find one player that was like a later than second round pick that he coached up to be a really, really good starter. I couldn't find one offensive line that was really, really good. In fact, there are some really concerning ones in Jacksonville. He was head coach there, but still, I just don't see the results over the past 30 years.
Well, Randy, he had a winning year with Buffalo long before they ever got Josh Allen.
Yeah, they snapped like a 10-year losing season streak,
and he made an AFC title game with the Jags. So if you're looking at him purely as a head coach, I know he's regarded as a good offensive line coach. I really don't know the stats on his O-lines, but I think he was a pretty good head coach. And so I feel a guy who was a decent head coach, and you're not even asking to be a coordinator, he's a positional coach on the O-line. I actually think that's a really good hire.